Okay, take two. My whole first portion was done in selfie mode, so I could have seen myself in my hat to make sure that I'm like I'm not a slob, but I'm doing this, and I left it there for the last recording. So I'll let that play on top of whatever. But right now, I'll just jump right into it. So for this particular situation, I'm going to position myself in such a way that I can I can control the type of support that I'm receiving, uh, and therefore I can relax as much as I may need to, feeling confident with the support in a way that doesn't engage the injury, so that I can then start to find the edges of what's feeling painful. Okay. And then I can explore from there. So this is getting myself into position. I'll go this way. So I'm using the balance ball, and I have something that will stop it. So ideally, I would be on something that has a better grip than this carpet on my feet, but uh, I have some surfaces to work from. So I'm going to let's see. Let's see. Okay, so right about here. Okay, so yeah, that feels tender. Um, Now the thing about this approach is it's at the almost very small level that big things might only be being received on the inside. It doesn't. There's something on the exterior that would say, "Oh, that's a big thing happening right there in this moment." But when you're stretching it all, you'll feel this, but more so with an injury. Um, well, it'll be very clear, like when you get right to certain spots that start to trigger. So, so I'm going to try to move away from anything that's causing me to tense. Back up so I can take a breath. Feel supported in this arm. How do I have to hold it to feel supported? Yeah, this injury is perplexing and troubling. Okay, so this is a position that I would consider somewhat advanced. I would do it with, you can do it with the person, and but there has to be a lot established that before you can do that in terms of faith, trust in the capacity for your partner to receive what you might be giving. Because there's a lot of energy that's moving here, although it's being counteracted. You can't see it, but there's a lot of energy in these spots, particularly where I am now with my weight coming down towards my neck. What's nice about the balance ball is it bends to, uh, the cushioning is over, or like the support is over a broad surface that is conforming to my body in a broad sense. So it's kind of evening it out. So it's kind of an ironing happening here in a gentle way. So I stayed in that position because, well, just feeling it out until I was ready to stop. There's also a whole side, well, part of this approach is kind of a yogic, not yogic, but how one might engage yoga, um, which is with gentleness, with breathing. If you're unable to take somewhat of a complete breath, then chances are you're tensing in some way. And that's same with yoga, or same with this. Like you'll know when you're trying to make something happen. That's create tension, trying to hold a position will create tension. That's okay sometimes. If you can support it, that's okay. Uh, but know then that you are straining at some level. You're tensing. And the question then uh, is this something that you can actually do? Or will it reveal the weakness in the system? And that's generally where injuries will occur, is where it was weak to engage something, some energetic input at some level, at least certain types of injuries. And I suppose energetic input, that could also include, I was thinking something more high impact, that could include repetitive stress, because energy going along a certain route just over and over just, I guess, causes its own problems. So smoothing it out, even without an injury, this is an amazing practice to do, because you're smoothing it out. My visual is, okay, so I'm just finding new positions and seeing, so this arm there is efforting in this arm. So I suppose, there is a way where I am exerting some effort, but it's not at the place where the injury is, and I can support this for a little bit, and then I'll relax into other spots. So like I said, it's like what's a realistic support? And the best supports are the ones that utilize your skeleton and proper angling to, I guess, distribute the force, or to have good grip. Oh, I love on the balance ball that you can do little bounces. It's kind of this very gentle stretching. I'm coming out of this as gently as I came into it. If I decide to unwind, which I will. Generally, the sign for a good little moment is a deeper breath at the end of it. Okay. I feel kind of a crunchiness more in my left shoulder. I wonder if it's just like computer work, sitting like this. Ugh. So much of my work is computer work. That's one of the things this is going to cause more computer work too. Doing the filming. Well, my hair will get wild. I don't want that to be a distraction. Okay, so maybe I'll look at using this as kind of a warm-up to the muscles. And this, I'll just see, is there anything that would like to go a little more specific? The roller has a firmer surface, and it's a smaller circumference. So the point of contact is going to be much smaller. And I guess even if it was large, yeah. Okay, still smaller, more specific. And then these balls would be, there's different firmnesses. So that one squishes a lot, not so much, that squishes a lot. I can pump this one up. But this will be even more specific, and then you can get to the tennis ball, and then some people just go straight up to it can get a little gnarly. But I guess that just shows, if you can't do it, that your muscles are tight there, wherever that is. I'll go on this side. I'll come down a little closer, maybe. Let's just leave it like this. So I'm going to come down to a spot where the roller is supporting my neck. Curling into that. That's not doing it. So I'm going to see. I have to be more aware of how I'm just putting down my arm to support myself. Uh, if that's not part of the issue, is unconscious motion or unconsciously engaging energy, then it's certainly not going to help in the recovery process to exert more energy on it than it can handle and exacerbate the situation. So it could be that, so even pushing there, I felt something down here, and this is kind of related. This, okay, so if I were to put my arm out, that's going to hurt. So I got to start it really low. Wow, any kind of needing to support it. I guess it's just the lever. It's heavier as it goes out. And, oh, I feel it going down my arm. Okay, but it's not there now. So right now I'm just kind of moving, exploring where I feel supported on the foam roller. I'm doing some work in my hips, but nothing I can't manage for a little bit, a couple of breaths at least, while I just get at different angles. Feels tender. So I'm just going to back up if I feel it. Something that feels particularly tender, like, the phrase we use is it sensation or is it pain? And pain is definitely very clear. So there's no need to force it by making it painful. Maybe that has its place sometimes, but I don't think in this process. So what I find is that I'm constantly engaging it, and from different angles and with different approaches, in terms of how I'm engaging a particular item, like the foam roller, or what kind of something that I might just work with. And so the virtue of that approach is it allows you to engage something from multiple angles, but kind of internal angles also, and energetic angles into how much power, and the exploration has its place, because it just can help this. You don't know what's tangled, you don't know what's knotted up, and how that every injury is absolutely unique to that person. And so you are your best healer for some things directly, but also you are your own guide. And okay, so I'm going to hold my arm out a little bit more. Okay, I wonder if that. So what it feels like sometimes when there's an injury, it's like there's think of like a stone fruit, like a peach. There's a hardening at the center, and then there's this fruit that's around it. There's this buffer layer around it that is very tender. Let's say a very ripe peach. It's very tender, and or let's say it's very hard. Hard in my sense because there's a barrier around it. There's a pain barrier that will extend outwards, and I think that can keep growing and keep growing. And so that would be my concern with an injury, is that it causes it causes a type of resonance in my body that that has things becoming worse. So so this approach is about gently massaging the peach, let's say the unripe peach, and we could massage it into ripeness. And if we're not able to, this is not a way to heal muscle. Okay, it can't do that. Um, it, but when muscle's healing, there can be an atrophying occurring. So that's the physical level of what's happening. And but along with that is also a defense reaction, which kind of shows up as that wincing, response to certain things that might trigger an injury, and that can become more and more extended from where the injury could be, as the system becomes less and less capable of supporting it, and that weak spot becomes perhaps even more burdened, particularly if that weak spot is in the spine. So in this approach, we're kind of going, we're interacting with the zone of um, like painful response. And so then again, sensation versus pain. Sensation is, whoa, this is really tight. Ooh, it's a, oh god, that would be sensation. Pain would be, oh, and you know to back off. Like that's a clear difference. And there's a gradient, and so that would be we're massaging the gradient, and we're shifting that gradient closer to the injury, just to bring life to everything else without making the injury any worse, without growing that fruit inside the peach, and growing the seed inside the peach and making that bigger. Terrible analogies. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there for now. So I would just go, well, maybe actually I'll take the balls. I'll just try the ball now. Since this does benefit from taking your time, and so it's yogic, the yoga approach, taking your time, feeling the internal response, and acting according to that. Okay, so sometimes, oh, okay, so like I can feel the tightness of my muscle there. It doesn't feel painful. Okay, so I can, but that is definitely a pretty sharp spot where, okay, I'll just, oh, okay. It's going to move around a little bit, but it's starting a little tired, so I want to go into some spot where I'm feeling something, and I'm going to just, from this spot, move my arm around a little bit, and just find the edge of where can I move. Okay, so, and then when I'm there, I can relax in that spot. My arm is supported by my head, and now I'm just gonna check out that spot and see what else. If it's like a fork in the road, and see what path this takes me by just letting my arm be in a certain position and move around. So when you get the spots that kind of take your breath away a little bit, then you get the end of that breath back off, because I think you can get fatigued in those spots and just have your body tighten up in response. Oh, interesting. So I'm rolling all around, more to my backside there. I can't tell if this is directly related to my arm or if it's just how much my back there is feeling right now. Because, okay, well, I am moving my arm a little more now, but okay, right here, when I relax it to this level here, but I can't hold my arm there, so I'm going to bring my hand in, make my arm less heavy. Okay, find it again. And I'm trying to do this in a way where I'm not supporting it, supporting my arm, where it can just hang by its own weight. But that might be straining, so I'm being aware of that. But so far, it feels like it's having a greater range than it did when I started this. So as I move around the ball, I'm also like shifting my head with my other hand. I'm supporting my head with my other hand. I'm just moving it around. And I'm moving my body around a little bit too, so I'm kind of spinning around this ball. There's a whole other thing that's amazing is to go down your spine, but it's a little much on my with the ball. I'll do a quick one of those, and then I gotta go out and do some yard work. I do this pretty much every night. This. I'll move. It's easier to see that. My back is really tight from the flights and from the cars and from the tension I've been having. Family matters, I suppose, to work through. It's been a very difficult trip. My body is tight. Okay. Oh, I felt that. All right. That was first take. I look forward to doing more.